Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Princess Lorlimay A. Ablan, and today I'm here to talk to you about analyzing a position paper. When we write position papers, remember that we are always defending a side we have chosen. That often means we are also countering an opposing side. So we have to make sure the arguments we write are convincing and compelling. We can learn how to write better arguments for a position paper when we are more familiar with studying other arguments ourselves. How do we analyze the arguments? How can this help us become better at making arguments? In this lesson, we have two objectives. The first one is analyze the content of an argument, and the second one is analyze the writing techniques of other writers. What is analyzing content? Analyzing content means looking closely at the details of an argument. When analyzing the content of an argument or idea, you are looking at things like claims, evidence to support those claims, and if that evidence makes sense. What are the parts of an argument? An argument consists of two major parts. 1. A claim or statement that summarizes the main idea, and 2. Reasons or evidence that supports why the claim is true. You can analyze the content of an argument more deeply by applying the Tolman method. This method was devised by philosopher Stephen Tolman, precisely for the purpose of studying arguments. Using the Tolman method, an argument can be more deeply analyzed by dividing the parts of an argument even further. With this method, we can look at the following elements of an argument: the claim, the ground or basis, warrant, backing, qualifier, and the rebuttal. The claim is a statement of opinion that the author is defending as true. A writer or a author needs to use a specific claim and stay consistent with the use of that claim throughout their argument. The ground or a basis are the facts, data, or reasoning that try to make a case for the claim. The warrant. The warrant is what connects the ground to the claim for the readers. Sometimes the warrant is implicit, but the warrant can be stated directly as well. The author must think about how clear he or she wants the warrant to be, and this is dependent on how much he or she thinks the readers already know about the issue in question or the side they are on. Number 4. The backing. The backing provides additional support for the claim by addressing different questions related to it. Number 5. The qualifier. The qualifier is essentially what sets limitations or conditions for the claim to be true. Qualifiers add strengths to claims because they let the audience know that the author does not expect his or her opinion to be true all the time. If writers use qualifiers that are too broad, such as always or never, their claims can be difficult to support. Qualifiers like some or many may help to limit the claim, which can add strength to the claim. Number 6. The rebuttal. The rebuttal addresses the opposing views. The author can use a rebuttal to anticipate counter-arguments, making the original argument stronger. So here's our example number 1. Who would like to read our first example? So the claim in this example is that there is a need for more laws on texting and driving, as you can see. The ground or the basis for this claim is the statement by the World Health Organization that talks about a statistic concerning distracted driving. The basis immediately follows the claim so that it is evident how it strengthens the claim. You should always remember, grounds are of course more credible if they are backed by reliable information and trustworthy sources. part of analyzing the argument is checking how reliable the information is. Second sample text. The warrant does not always need to be stated directly. Again, it depends on how much the author expects the readers to know about the given topic or site. The backing can be similar to both the grounds and the warrant, as it also gives more support to the claim. The difference is that the backing answers other questions related to the claim. So let's go back to the sample text. Who would like to read our second sample text? In this example, a warrant which can act as the reason for the claim was directly stated. It connects the grounds, which is credible data about texting and driving, to the claim, which is what can be done about texting and driving. The backing states specific actions that can be done to further strengthen the claim. It answers possible questions readers might have about the proposed law in the claim. Tips. Sometimes a warrant has to be given a paragraph in your paper body to detail the context of your position paper. There are also times when you will not need to explain the context at all. Analyze the warrant by finding the author's reasons for making such a claim. Third sample text. The qualifier is an integral part of an argument because it creates limitations for the argument so that it will not fall victim to the straw man fallacy. Our rebuttal is an author's way of trying to predict any possible arguments against his or her points. Who would like to read our third and last sample text? Explanation to the third sample text. The qualifier here serves as a reminder that the claim is addressing car accidents caused by distracted driving. Not all car accidents. The example also tries to predict or rebuttal by talking about the responsibilities of the police. Tips. You must be able to identify the qualifiers of a position paper, as doing so will strengthen your analysis of the argument. Knowing the qualifiers can help you avoid making unrelated or weak arguments. Thinking rhetorically. Rhetorical analysis is about exploring the strategies and writing techniques applied in particular piece. Rhetorical analysis can help you think about the strategies other authors have made and how or why these strategies work or do not work. Much like when writing your academic paper, you must analyze this aspect when reading another person's position paper: the audience, purpose, voice, ethos, pathos, and logos. Audience. Most, if not all, academic papers should be written with intended audience in mind. The audience should have an impact on people's writings. Writers should think about the audience because if they want to be effective, they must consider the reader's needs and expectations. It is important to remember that the audience affects both how a paper is written and what a paper is about. Paying attention to the readers or the audience is equally important in analysis, as knowing more about them can tell you what information is relevant or effective in a position paper depending on who the audience is. Take note that while you may be a reader of a position paper, you are not necessarily the intended reader. Try to find any hints in the paper on who the intended audience is so that you can understand the paper better. Purpose. A position paper's purpose is often, if not always, to persuade readers to take the writer's side. Take note then that the thesis statement should always be the one that claims something that the writer will have to defend with reliable sources. Analyze arguments based on how well they can be convincing. Voice. You can analyze the paper's voice based on the effectiveness and appropriateness it has on the topic of the paper. As a position paper is an academic paper, its voice will often be formal, meaning it is professional, and it avoids slang, contractions, and cliches. However, there are times when a topic, audience, or purpose might be more effective if the voice is semi-formal. For example, if the target audience is a class of high school or grade school students, in your analysis, check if the voice used suits the topic and the arguments presented in the paper. Ethos. Appealing to ethos is about using credibility, either of the writer or the sources used, in order to be persuasive. Essentially, ethos is about believability. In analyzing a paper, check how the writer builds credibility. More often than not, he or she will use legitimate sources to do so. Sometimes, you can also check who the author is to verify his or her credibility. Any position or educational attainment the writer has could increase his or her credibility. Pathos. Appealing to pathos is about appealing to the audience's emotions. People's emotions can be easily moved, so pathos can be a powerful mode of persuasion. Arguments can be made more convincing by using people's emotions, like getting them to be sympathetic to a cause or angry about a certain injustice. However, you can also check if an argument uses pathos too much. Reasoning that is more reliant on emotion rather than research is usually considered weaker. Logos. Logos is about appealing to the audience's logical side. The authors have to think about what makes sense to their audience and use that to build their argument. Writers should appeal to logos by using a line of reasoning in their arguments that is logical and clear. The easiest way is to use evidence, such as statistics and factual information, in combination with your claims and ideas. So let's wrap up. An argument consists of two major parts: a claim that summarizes the main idea, and the reasons or evidence that supports why the claim is true. Analyze the content of an argument by looking at its claim, grounds or basis, warrant, backing, qualifiers, and rebuttal. Analyze the content. Analyze the techniques of the author in writing arguments by identifying and studying his or her use of audience, purpose, voice, ethos, pathos, and logos. And that will be all. Thank you for listening.